All right, so since a gigantic spin code dropped, the RELLCoin code dropped, and you know, since you could spin every single one of these bloodlines now, I'm gonna be doing the RELLCoin shop bloodline worst to best. Now, I've never done a worst to best over these bloodlines before, so if you guys, you know, want to hit that like button, subscribe, that'll help me out greatly. So let's get right to the video, guys. All right, so the first tier of this actual thing, since there are just so many bloodlines that are available in the RELLCoin shop, I'm gonna be doing a tier of do not buy. Now, this tier either means that the skin is absolutely terrible, or it means that the KG is so terrible that the skin isn't worth it, or the actual KG isn't worth it. Now, there will be another tier after this called the drip only tier, which is going to be a little bit different. I'll explain it when it gets to that, but this is going to be the do not buy tier. And by the way, this tier list isn't based on just how strong something is, it's based on whether you should buy it or not. So there's a lot of different things taken into account, like you know, how much it costs, you know, whether it has a skin version of it or not, you know, if the original is available or not, or you know, just like how good the original is. There's a bunch of different things thrown in there. It's just going to be based on whether you should buy or not. Now, first up on the do not buy tiers is going to be Inferno Karashi. I'm going to be dead honest with you when I say Ghost Karashi is honestly just really not that great of a bloodline itself. A lot of the abilities are super close range. Half the time they don't work at all. You know, some of the abilities just really are not, they're just really not that great whatsoever. And in the end of things, Ghost Karashi as a KG is bad, and the skin is just not one you should use your RELLCoins on. Now, next up in the do not buy tiers is going to be Boramaki Gold. So not only is this one of the single worst skins in the game because it makes your abilities look like literal like pee. It is very pee colored. It's not gold, it is actual pee color. So not only do you have pee colored abilities, but the actual KG itself isn't really that good besides the second ability in the mode. So if you want to use the second ability and the, you know, final mode of Boramaki, you're better off just getting it through spinning because it's not worth your RELLCoins. Now, the same thing applies for Jodo Rushes, and it's going to be another do not buy just because the original KG is honestly just so terrible. It actually got nerfed, fun fact. They actually nerfed Giovanni Shizen. The mode C-Spec doesn't even do close to as much damage as it did before. They actually nerfed the only thing good about Giovanni Shizen, which is just absolutely hilarious. And the drip you can get in the RELLCoin shop now. Oh my gosh, what happened to my eyes? Now, this one should go without saying, but Men's is going to be another do not buy bloodline. This KG is honestly just terrible. The abilities are wonky to use. I mean, like, the first ability is very fun to use. I'll give you that, but the other abilities are honestly just quite bad. Even without hand signs, this KG is going to be always trash. It's just super predictable, really not that great overall. It's just kind of a throwaway bloodline. Now, up next in the do not buy tiers is going to be Sriracha Gold. Now, even though the original Sriracha KG really is not, you know, that bad anymore. I keep saying Sriracha, it's Sriracha, not Sriracha, not like Sriracha sauce. Even though the actual KG isn't that bad anymore, you're much better off just straight up, you're better off just straight up getting this from, you know, the spinning. It's not worth your RELLCoins at all. The actual KG isn't really that good. It's just going to be the counter in the final mode. Now, the final one on the do not buy tier is actually going to be Forge Sengoku. Now, this one may surprise some people, and you know, it is kind of surprising even to me, but this KG honestly just really is not that great anymore. It is very mode carried, and there are just better, you know, Z-Spec modes in the game now. There's not really any reason to use this whatsoever. So I will say this, Forge Ren, it's kind of just a do not buy in general, and I do think that the boss isn't even worth grinding for this bloodline right now. Have you ever gotten 80th spin rarity and gotten something like just atomic? Well, that's because you haven't hit the like button on this video yet. If you hit the like button on this video, you're guaranteed to get 10 million times luck. 100%. All right, so this is going to be the drip only tier. These are going to be skins of bloodlines that are already in the game, and the actual KGs are not that great, or they're just going to be kind of just subpar skins in general. Now, I'm not going to be talking about these ones that much. I'm just going to be, you know, explaining, you know, why it's actually going to be in the drip only tier, but I'm not going to explain it that much. You guys should get the gist of it. Dark Jokai is actually a skin of Light Jokai, and the actual KG really is not that great. So, you know, I do think that this is going to be a drip only bloodline. The actual KG isn't terrible, but it isn't that great, and this is just, you know, a skin of that. Now, Shindai Red Goku Yang, obviously, guys, Shindai Red Goku is really only usable for the mode right now. So if you guys would use the mode of it, you might as well just go grind the boss for a little bit, unless you really need a PvE KG, and then there's usually better PvE KGs in the game. Yang Naramaki, the actual Naramaki KG really isn't that great other than Baron mode. So I do think if you're going to only use something for the mode, you definitely should not buy it with RELLCoins. And also, the skin itself really is not that great. Now, Diozur is also going to be in the drip only tier. Even though I really love this skin, the actual KG, it really is not that great either. So I do think that this skin is definitely going to be a drip only. Now, obviously, guys, all three skins are going to be in the drip only tier. So you got Yang, Prism, Style, and Order. These are just drip only. These are just drip only abilities in general. I mean, like, the only one that could be even considered for being, you know, somewhat not drip only is going to be Yang. But I feel like, you know, it already has a skin, which is, you know, Gilga. And I do feel like the Yang looking skin really isn't worth as much as it costs. Order, obviously, Order is one of my favorite skins in the game, but the actual, you know, element is trash. And then Prism Style, I mean, I would rather use Shiver than Prism Style, you know, personally. And I don't think I've ever seen someone use Prism Style in the game, actually. Now, up next is going to be one of my personal favorite skins in the game, Ryan Azur. Now, Ryan Azur, even though it is a very cool looking skin, the actual Ryan Ren bloodline is also buyable in the RELLCoin shop, and it actually is just significantly cheaper than Ryan Azur. So this is definitely a drip only because the original is also buyable. Now, Sun Knight is going to be borderline not drip only, and borderline do not buy. The only reason I'm going to say drip only is because I think the mode looks really, really cool, but the actual abilities are honestly not worth buying whatsoever, so just take that into account. Now, Red Cheeky Golden Ruby, I do think the Ruby Red Cheeky skin is actually pretty great, but, you know, these skins, obviously, guys, the original is buyable in the RELLCoin shop. It's going to be for the same exact reason as, you know, Ryan Ren. You don't really need to buy this whatsoever unless you're buying it just for the drip, because the original is also buyable for just much cheaper. Now, Kamaki Amethyst, honestly, guys, Kamaki itself as a KG really is not that great. I do think Kamaki Amethyst is a pretty cool looking bloodline, hence why it's going to be drip only. The do not buy in the drip only tier are going to be kind of, you know, biased because it is based on how much I like them, but I feel like a lot of people can agree with me when they say, you know, Kamaki Amethyst is just a very visually pleasing skin in general. Last but not least in the drip only tier is going to be Cabru Cobra with one of the single best looking modes in the game. I mean, like, who doesn't like a snake coming out of their, you know what I'm saying? Like, who doesn't like a snake coming out of that? Obviously, guys, Cabru Cobra, the actual KG isn't that good other than the mode, but the mode is the cool thing about this, so, you know, that is something to, you know, say about it. I do think the mode of Cabru Cobra is probably one of the best looking, you know, drip modes in the game. I mean, like, look at this. Look at this. Look at my eyeballs. All right, so coming at 20 plays is going to be a web. This is going to be an EKG that you don't really need to pick up, hence why it's going to be last on the list, but I do think it is just good enough with the move stacking and the traveling potential it actually has to be on this list. But like I said before, you know, it's not really something you genuinely need. It's just pretty good for traveling, you know, move stacking potential. All right, so coming in 19th place is going to be Tengoku. So before I go on with this list, a lot of these bloodlines you can actually get in dungeons as well, and the rarities were severely reduced, but dungeons are a lot harder now, and you can't do them without teammates pretty much at this point. So I do think that, you know, most people just buy them from the RELLCoin shop, but please be aware that some of these bloodlines you don't have to buy from the RELLCoin shop. If you're, you know, curious on whether or not you could buy it from the RELLCoin shop or not, just, you know, go into the search menu here, type in the name, and it'll say dungeon next to it if you can get it from dungeons. That's just, you know, a big tip for you guys. But coming in 19th place is going to be Tengoku. Tengoku is honestly just one of those bloodlines that really are not that great, but it's insanely fun to use. By far one of the most fun to use bloodlines in the game. It just has really visually good abilities. I mean, like, this bloodline's honestly just fun, but it's not that great. I mean, like, the third ability place locks you. You're going to get absolutely slammed at T-fights. The second ability is a damage ability that doesn't do as much as other ones. First one is just a basic knockback, you know, close range ability, and the mode is honestly just a basic combo extending, you know, mode. Coming in 18th place is going to be Satori Rengoku. Now, honestly, guys, this KG itself is really not that great. It's kind of, you know, absolute booty buns. Like, you look at this KG and you think to yourself, wow, why is there something this bad in the game? But it does have a little bit of merit. I know that might hurt some people's hearts. It hurts mine to say it as well. The fact I'm ranking above Tengoku kind of hurts my soul, but the actual auto dodge clone ability is pretty good since it's equipable to EKG slots. Also, the mode isn't the absolute worst thing in the world if you only use the throwable and the Z spec, but stay away from that weapon spec. Honestly, guys, the first ability is almost impossible to land as well. Also, the skin is bugged. It doesn't do nearly as much damage as the original, so just keep that in mind. Satori, really not that great. All right, so coming in 17th place is going to be Ryuji Kanichi. Now, this bloodline in general really is just, it's kind of just a very mid bloodline. It has very, you know, it's just a combo extending bloodline that has a second life attached to the mode. The second life really isn't that great anymore either. Now, I do think it's for a good reason. Second life modes in this game are generally just going to be always overpowered, so it's a good thing that it's nerfed, but it really isn't the greatest thing in the game anymore. Now, coming to 16th place is going to be Raiken Shizen. Now, Raiken Shizen is going to be a very solid pick just for the second mode. The second mode of Raiken Shizen is honestly a pretty good ability in general. I'm going to try and get him place locked with the actual, you know, first ability, but, you know, this ability, like I said, it's pretty good for PvE content. If the boss is really close to you and you C-spec on them, it does a ton of damage to the boss, but you have to be close. The boss has to be standing still. There's a lot of stipulations to it, and just because of the amount of stipulations there are, you know, to actually using this ability, I do think it is not one of the better PvE abilities in the game. The actual abilities are not that good either. Coming at 50th place is going to be Sengoku. Now, this is another dungeon bloodline. Now, Sengoku is going to be ranking a little bit higher on this list because I do actually think Sengoku has some merit to it. I mean, like, first of all, Sengoku third mode is it's a pretty good mode if you can actually land the abilities. Some of the abilities have iframes and it stalls out for an extremely long time. Plus, the first ability is another iframe, even if it isn't the best iframe in the entire game. And then you do have a second ability, which is you know, it place locks multiple people in place, and then you do actually have a counter attached to it. So it's not the worst, you know, bloodline in the game whatsoever, but but it definitely isn't great either. The coming to 14th place is going to be Ren Shiki. Ren Shiki is going to be in 14th. This is for a pretty simple reason, guys. It has a really good counter that actually gives you chi back when people attack you. That is the only reason why it's going to rank this high, other than the second mode being good for PvE content. I do think the second mode being good for PvE content is not really that important either, just because there are much better PvE things you can buy for cheaper. But Ren Shiki, you know, has a really good counter ability, and it is always really nice to be able to equip a counter into your moveset whenever you want it. Now coming to 13th place is going to be Ryan Gaiden. Now, first of all, guys, this is genuinely one of the most drippy modes in the entire game. I mean, just look at this. It looks so cool. But Ryan Gaiden in general, guys, I do actually think that, you know, it's just one of those bloodlines that really are not that great. It's insanely predictable as a bloodline, as you guys can see. Boom. It's just really predictable as a bloodline. I think the only thing really worth using is the mode in general, just because, you know, the mode has a lot of, you know, spammy stuff attached to it. Also, the stats of the mode are really good. 3,000 ties, pretty good. And then obviously, you know, with the iframe attacks, they do have their faults attached to them. Like the first move had the end lag removed, so you can actually use it properly now. The second move had hand size attached to it. It's just a really long lasting ability in general. And then the third move is insanely counterable. So Ryan Gaiden, I do think 13th place is very solid for it in general, and I do think that, you know, since it is so counterable, it really is not that great. Now coming to 12th place is going to be Arahaki Jokai. Now this is going to be obviously a very PvP oriented pick if you're going to be buying this. I do think that this has some merit too. I mean, like, there's not really any other bloodline that has a third move like this. It's an instantaneous, you know, combo ability, so it doesn't extend after a lot of M1s. Like you guys can see, there's a little bit of end lag there, but you know, this ability is pretty good for combos. It has knockback attached to it, which it does allow you to combo extend with it and things like that. This ability is just honestly a pretty okay PvP bloodline in general, but there's just better in the game. The coming to the other place is going to be Dio Senko. Now this is just going to be for the mode, honestly, guys. The first mode is really good for 1v1s, and then the second mode is really good for team fights. The actual abilities of Dio Senko are really not that great. I mean, like, you do have a lot of iframes with the first ability. The third ability has iframes attached to it, and it's a, you know, a place lock stun. Okay for team fights. And the second move also has iframes if you hit someone. So it's a pretty okay bloodline in general for iframes and combo starting, but it isn't that great overall. Now coming to 10th place, it could be Van Helsing. Now Van Helsing, while it is actually a really good bloodline, also, wow, look at this. I got some ramen pants on, being absolutely shredded out of my mind. This is what being ramen guy does, guys. This is ramen guy's true muscular form right here. But yeah, jokes aside, guys, Van Helsing is I'm gonna say this here, Van Helsing is low-key one of the most underrated bloodlines in the game, and it isn't even my fault, because I keep telling you guys how good this bloodline actually is. It's extremely good for combos. It has really good iframe abilities with the second ability and the throwable. The C-spec is also pretty good for team fights, and is yet another iframe. So look at this. Boom, look at this throwable. Boom, boom, boom. And then you can actually, yeah, so it has a lot of iframes attached to it. The C-spec is another really good team fighting iframe, and the third ability is now actually usable because they made it not on any global cooldown now. So you just dash afterwards. He's lagging, so it didn't hit him. Dash afterwards is pretty good ability. Extremely good bloodline, guys. But the reason why it's going to rank this low compared to how good it actually is it really hard to use. It's not new friendly at all. If you're watching this and you're genuinely wondering what to buy or not, this is not a bloodline you should pick up half the time, because it does require you to be somewhat skilled at the game to use. Now coming in 9th place is going to be Vengeance. Now I do think Vengeance is a very solid 9th place pick for this list, just because it's an insanely noob friendly bloodline. The moves are insanely easy to combo extend with. They're very, you know, simple to use in general, and the moves, you know, the second move, you could spam click it as much as you want, it doesn't miss. You know, it has a really long range attached to it. I think the only not noob friendly ability of Vengeance is the third one, because the third one does take a little bit of brain power to use, but I do think everything else about Vengeance is just a really noob friendly bloodline. I do think that is very needed in Shindo Life, and I do think that, you know, it being 9th place just because of how noob friendly it is very solid. The coming in 8th place is going to be Strange. Now Strange is still an extremely good bloodline. Dude, what is going on with my face? What? Row Games, what did you do? What did you do, Row Games? Why are none of the like IDs working? I literally look like a, you know, a psycho right now. But obviously, guys, Strange did get gutted quite a bit. It still is an extremely good bloodline. It still has all the things that made it good, like combo extending potential, you know, has amazing iframe abilities like the C-spec, insane damage amount still, honestly. Like, Strange is still in a really good bloodline. But I do think that it's going to rank lower just because I don't really know what use you could get out of it besides the mode. The actual abilities are fine, but you're mostly going to be using this for the mode, and I think a mode only bloodline is really not that great. Now we got the big kahuna boy himself, Mina Minakaze. We got the new Baryon mode. Oh, I don't have it on this account. The Baryon mode, guys, is honestly really not that great. People mostly use Minakaze for the third ability and the second ability now. So obviously, guys, you know, Minakaze overall is a pretty good combo extending ability. Now, someone showed me a cool combo with this. You could do the third ability into the second ability as a true combo in general. Pretty good combo in general. Someone in the competitive actually showed me that. I forget their name. Sorry if you watch this video. It's them that found it, not me. But the first ability is an okay combo extending ability. It's a 2-second cooldown ability. Now, the only issue with this is that you actually have to have the kunai stuck in them before you actually use it, which is a pretty big concern. But Minakaze in general is a pretty good bloodline right now. But the reason why it's going to rank so low is because it probably is going to get that fat nerf. So if you guys don't want to get a KG that's going to get, a fat booty slam of a nerf on top of it, don't grab Minakaze. Now, coming to 6th place, it's going to be Eastwood Karashi and Ray Karado. They're both going to be in the same tier because it's for the pretty much the same exact reason. Eastwood Karashi has really good iframe attack abilities. So it has really good iframe attack abilities, which is the third one. And then obviously, guys, the first one is a really good combo extending ability. Now, it does have a lot of weakness attached to it, which is like, the mode really isn't that great. Even though the mode is extremely cool, it really is not that great in general. And the second ability isn't that good. So it only has 2 good abilities, which is an iframe attack ability that is probably one of the best iframe attacks in the game because it's not on the iframe attack global cooldown. It's pretty much just free iframes at this point because it allows you to start combos as well. And then the first ability is a really good combo extender. That's the reason why this is going to be ranked 6. Now, Ray Karada is also going to be in 6th place because Ray Karada has a pretty good combo extending combo starting ability, which is the first one. The first move is a pretty good ability in general, and it does have some pretty good combo extenders. Like you guys can see, the third ability, even though it has 2 hand sights attached to it, it's a pretty good combo extender ability. It's pretty much just Van Helsing. I mean, there's not really much else to say other than that. And then the second move is a really good just overall AoE iframe, stun attack. Pretty good ability in general. Now, what they both have in common is that the mode is absolutely abysmal. I would just stay away from these modes. And the fact that, only two abilities are actually, worth using in general. Now, coming to 5th place, these 2 bloodlines, I do think are some of the most solid buys on this list. They're probably never going to get nerfed. They're always going to be as good as they are now. So they're just solid buys. They're just not as good as some of the other bloodlines. Starting off with the 5th place is going to be Bankai Kuma. It's going to be 2 different bloodlines. First one's going to be Bankai. Obviously, guys, Bankai just has a really good stun attached to it. It has a auto dodge attached to it. And the third ability is an ability that bypasses iframes and things like that. Just a really okay mode overall. Okay bloodline overall, and it probably is never going to get nerfed. Now, the other one for 5th place tier is definitely going to be Rengoku. Rengoku mode is probably one of the most versatile modes in the game. It also has, pretty good combo extending potential with that. And with the second ability, the first one is also combo extendable because of the knockback and things like that. The weapon spec of the actual mode is an iframe ability, and then you get free companions with your mode, which is always going to be a good thing. And then, like I said before, the mode is insanely versatile. One of the most versatile modes of the game. If you learn how to, use this mode properly, you will slap some cheeks together, man. Now, coming to 4th place is going to be Gura Rengoku and Diva Sen Goku. Now, this bloodline, honestly, guys, is an extremely good bloodline. If this was going based on how good a bloodline is, this would easily be 1st place as a bloodline. But, since it's not just based on that, since it actually is based on whether you should buy it or not, there actually is a boss you can kill, obviously, called Diva Rengoku, and you can equip it to your KG slots after you kill it, so you pretty much get a free bloodline bag anyways. So that's the reason why it's going to rank a little bit lower than it would otherwise, because I do think that if you don't really want to spend the row coins, you can honestly just go farm the boss. All of the boss KGs rarities were reduced by a ton, so it's a lot easier to grind them now than what it was before. So I mean, like, it's honestly just based on whether or not you want to put in that effort. If you don't want to put in that effort, grab this. It's going to be a really solid pick. It's just a really amazing bloodline. The first, second, and third ability all have combo extending potential. The third ability is a really great combo starter as well because it does have a block break attached to it. And honestly, Diva Rengoku in general is just a really good solid buy. But like I said, there is a boss you can get it from. Now, coming in 3rd place is surprisingly going to be Shiver Ragnar. Yeah, you guys did not expect this, did you? Shiver Ragnar. So let's get started. I'm just gonna, quickly explain why it's gonna be here. First of all, guys, it has this super insanely overpowered counter. I mean, like, I was one of those people that kind of hated on the counter in general. The counter really isn't, it isn't that good compared to other teleport counters, but it is definitely, and I say this as a fact, as a pure fact, it is the most noob-friendly teleport counter in the game. It is the easiest to combo extend with after landing. That's the reason why it's going to be ranking this high, is because of this counter. This counter is so noob friendly, it is unreal, and it makes it combos insanely easy to hit afterwards. Now, the instant block breaking ability is also extremely good. It's one of the best guard breaks in the game right now. It's instant, uncancelable, and has stun attached to it. Really amazing ability in general. The second move does a lot of damage. I don't really see people use the second. 110,000 damage? Excuse me? Did that just do 110,000 damage? I swear, Ragnar second ability does not do that much. Is that a Shiver Ragnar thing? Is that only for Shiver Ragnar? What is that damage? You guys see this? Look at this. Look at this. Okay. So it depends on how many of it hits. Obviously, guys, sometimes it misses, sometimes it hits, but that did a lot of damage. The mode is honestly pretty terrible. It could be okay for, you know, running around and stuff like that, but I would recommend just staying away from the mode. It has an okay combo extending ability, but you're definitely going to stick to the first and third ability of Ragnar. The reason why it's going to make this high, you always want to have a equipable teleport counter, and Ragnar has a very solid new friendly one and a pretty okay block break. Now, coming to second place in the RELLCoin Bloodline worst to best. This one may surprise you guys. I know, you know, it was a bit surprising to me when I ranked it this way, but I have good reasons, okay? So first up in second place, there's going to be two different bloodlines. There's going to be Snake Man Platinum. This one's very obvious, guys. Snake Man is spinnable as well, so you can actually spin it, which is actually probably the one that most people have. But Snake Man Platinum is viable. Now, the reason why I'm kind of iffy about putting this in second place, and if I'm mixing it with another one, it is extremely expensive. It's like 200,000 RELL coins. If you do not have an absurd amount of RELL coins, do not buy this. This is second place on whether you should buy it or not, but if you do not have the, you know, if you do not have that many RELL coins, or you only have the RELL coins from the code, do not buy this. It is not worth it. It costs too much. But the reason why it's going to rank so high is because the actual KG is just absolutely busted. Now, the reason why I want you guys to be aware of, you should not buy this if you do not have extra RELL coins. This, I can guarantee you guys, Snake Man is going to get nerfed eventually. It is extremely broken. The damage amounts that it actually does is absurd. You know, the combo extending potential it has is absolutely absurd. It's just going to get nerfed eventually. So if you do not have the extra RELL coins, do not buy this. But as it stands right now, it is an extremely good bloodline, and being able to equip it into just your KG slots is pretty important. By the way, guys, what is your favorite RELLCoin shop bloodline in this game? From the comments below, we'll be checking them out. Now on to the true second place. So this is going to be the second place that I do actually recommend buying it for second place. Ryan Ren Goku. This one may surprise you guys, and no, it's not for the mode. The mode is absolutely abysmal. Stay away from this. Hashtag no Ryan Ren mode. Just don't use this. Stay away from it. The second ability is an auto dodge counter hybrid that allows you to start combos whenever you want. It also can be a combo extender if you want to use it that way. The cooldown isn't absorbently long either. It's 22 seconds. It's a little bit below average for auto dodges. Usually they're around 20 to 25 on the low end of average. So it's kind of low average, but dude, the second ability is really good in general. The first move is also really good, especially for team fights, just because the first move is a place lock. It hits multiple people. It's an AoE ability. It's an iframe. It's a stun. It's a lot of good things mixed together. Now, the only issue with it is that the AoE range really is not that large, but it's pretty much a free iframe stun ability that is equipable to your EKG slots. And then the auto dodge counter hybrid ability that could do up to like 100,000 damage if you double click fast enough is also equipable to EKG slots. Ryan Ren's first and second ability alone are going to be the reason why it's going to be second place, and hopefully you guys, you know, can see the reason why. It's just absurd and absolutely amazing. Now, for this tier list, you guys need to keep in mind that the reason why that some things are ranked, you know, pretty high, even though they have a, you know, spinnable version, is that you cannot equip the spinnable version to your you can't equip them unless without a bloodline bag. You can't equip them. And I do think that, you know, being able to equip them without a bloodline bag is an insanely important feature, because, you know, this may be surprising to you, but I can guarantee you that 70-80% of the game do not have bloodline bag. So being able to equip them without bloodline bag is insanely important, especially for this tier list, because it's whether or not you should buy them. So all the ones that have spinnable variants and they're just skins, please keep that in mind as to why they're ranked higher than normal. Now, first place in the RELLCoin shop worst of the best, the bloodline you have all been waiting to see is going to be Shindo Akuma. This is the #1 bloodline that you guys should and probably, you know, have bought by now. It is also a dungeon bloodline, so you don't have to necessarily buy it. You can go get it as well from dungeons. But this bloodline, I mean, like, it's insanely good for Gen 3 farming. It's insanely good for boss farming. It has a really good counter attached to it. The web spec of the mode is insanely good for PvP. The actual C spec of the mode is really good for farming. It's just a really good PvP/PvE bloodline. If anyone says Shindo Akuma you know, is mid or bad, they're either trolling, they're either just wrong, or they're one of the people that think they're cool for, you know, not following the meta. You know, they're the type of people that go, Snake Man is mid. But, you know, nerd emoji aside, Shindo Life in general, you know, if you get hit by this weapon spec, you're pretty much instantly going to die if you have low chi, because chi seals you, it drains mode from you, it drains chi from you as well. And then obviously, guys, the counter and C-spec are insanely good for PvE content. It's a really, really good bloodline to buy as well, because you can equip it into, you know, UKG slots as you will. And even though really the C-spec, the C mode and the first ability are good from it, that is generally all you really need from a RELLCoin Bloodline, because you will be spinning it in the other slots anyways. Now, you guys might have noticed that there was one I have not said yet, is going to be Xenodokai, also in the first place tier, but only for PvE content. Only buy this bloodline if you're going to be boss grinding. It is an insanely easy to use boss grinding ability that requires no thought whatsoever other than waiting for the boss to stand still. That is the only reason why it's going to be first place. Really good PvE bloodline. I do think the fact that you could buy it and just equip it whenever you want is very, very good as well. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, guys. Bye bye.